Good morning. Welcome to Tip Off. So excited to be back with you from the friendly confines of my messy office. Yes, back home for a blink of an eye. Tomorrow we'll bring you Tip Off from home, and then Wednesday we'll bring it to you from Phoenix. How crazy is this, by the way? So I get a text uh, from a buddy who's the Minnesota Timberwolves play-by-play announcer, and there are huge games all week. By the way, this week's really big. So Minnesota plays Phoenix on Monday, tonight, I believe. They then do not play again until Thursday in Salt Lake. So we will be staying at the same hotel that they are Tuesday night in in Phoenix. Kind of nutty. This is a huge week. I'll touch on all the things that are going on. Our focus is gonna probably flip a little bit to the NCAA tournament, our brackets, and all of those things. People are wondering what I'm doing in regards to that, guys. I do not know if I can get my stuff done. I'm sorry. I really don't know if I can get that done. It takes an incredible amount of time, 5, 6 hours, maybe 10, if things don't go right. And I'll try. I started a little last night and I stopped just because I was like, whoa, this is just the time. And just with a game today and a travel tomorrow, and then I really need to spend time with the family yesterday, so that's really why I stopped since I hadn't seen him ever. So we'll check on that. Some interesting things going on, and this is an incredible week. The trade deadline is Thursday. Houston lost last night in Cleveland. Golden State won again in LA against the Clippers. The Clippers are significantly below 500 now. Maybe two games, not significantly, but below 500 since the Chauncey Billups injury. Tonight, Minnesota, who's 21 and 21 but without Rubio, and Phoenix, who's playing well at 19 and 21 matchup. Houston, Houston's off today. We play against Detroit in a game that we just got to win, and it's going to be hard to win. They've only won 3 on the road, but I'm telling you right now, we're going to be dead. First game back from a long road trip with a travel day the next day, we're going to be dead. Golden State this week has some winnable games, but they got to win them on the road. Houston continues to play murderous schedule. They're at Oklahoma City on Tuesday, which is a tough one for them. Portland stays on the road. They're now below 500. Thursday, huge matchup. Jazz are at Phoenix. Both teams right now sit at 19 and 21. As I mentioned, Minnesota stays off. Houston finally comes back home for a winnable game. Portland stays on the road and plays New York. And then Thursday, we play Minnesota while Phoenix goes to play the Clippers. And then Saturday, we go and play Golden State. This is an enormous week. I mean, I think if the Jazz were to, I don't know if they could do it, but if the Jazz were to string 4 in a row together, then I think they might be in the 8th playoff spot. Minnesota, after they finish playing us, plays the next night on a back-to-back against the Lakers. Detroit then heads down to Phoenix, so Phoenix should get one. Detroit's kind of playing the same road trip. This is just an incredible week, coupled all with the trade deadline looming. We have the added mix of the meeting that's taking place between Raja and Kevin O'Connor and Tyrone Corbin to try to straighten out an internal matter that took place on the road. The things I can tell you about this are talking to the players. I don't think this is going to have a lasting impact on the team. It may have an impact on Raja, but it's not going to have an impact on the team from everything that it kind of was relayed to me. Excuse me, I got an itch. Everything that was relayed to me on Saturday in Chicago. The end result for Raja is, it's really pretty basic. You guys can do this too. Things get straightened out. Things don't get straightened out, right? So things get straightened out, and there's probably, I don't know. I don't know what the end result of that is. Things don't get straightened out. I guess you're into trade me by Thursday, or which I think is unlikely, or some sort of buyout so that he can then, get on team. the quote to Jody Genesee from Raja might be the telling quote. It's the only quote that anyone has from Raja. I just need my opportunities. I just need my touches. And we can probably move on from there. So, trade deadline's coming up, but I want to stop for a second. Actually, I'll do BYU on the backside. Trade deadline's coming up. And the latest word out of Orlando, and we may end up doing multiple tip-offs this week when things really get cooking. Trades start getting happening. I may just post little quick podcast takes on each one. Orlando right now, and two things are going on. One is it's gone dead silent, which means that stuff's about to pop. And I actually had been told from people they thought it was going to pop this weekend. I just don't think teams know who they are. I think Portland's on the verge of blowing this whole entire thing up, but they better make sure that on a shortened season like this that it's the right idea to blow the whole darn thing up. Houston was on the verge of kind of making some deals and just lost Kyle Lowry for 2 to 4 weeks, which has a huge impact on the playoff situation. He's been great. He's their best player. Minnesota's about to make a bunch of big deals. They lose Ricky Rubio for the season. Huge deal on the playoffs. Phoenix, who questioned of whether they were possibly going to move Steve Nash or not, though it seemed unlikely, all of a sudden might be buying in this market because you look around and suddenly Houston's got problems, Minnesota's got problems, we're not great. And they're probably looking at this thing suddenly saying, wait a sec, we can make the playoffs. Portland still can probably make the playoffs. Utah still at 19 and 21 and certainly not great, could certainly not make the playoffs. I mean, could make the playoffs. I mean, this is really nutty. This season is, and because of it, and there are just going to be losses here in the next 6 weeks by teams that they shouldn't have. And the key is going to be, how do you prevent the 5-game skid? For us, it's really coming up here with pure exhaustion in hand when we go to L.A. on Sunday and say we drop it, our 5th game in 7 days and 3 different cities, and if you go back to Saturday, it's worse. Then Tuesday, you got Oklahoma City. All of a sudden, you got a 2-game losing streak. You go 2 sack, you got to win. I mean, suddenly you got to win because you come back to Denver to have Denver at home. They're suddenly you've lost. Then you got at Atlanta. You could suddenly have a 5-game losing streak like that. And now you're in New Jersey needing a win on a 5-game losing streak with at Boston coming up, and you're done. I mean, teams are like Houston got enough leeway, so they got their 5-game losing streak, and they're still in the playoff picture, but now they have an injury. It's going to be crazy. I mean, I think this also gets just who are we? I still sit here stunned that at 19 and 21 we're actually 19 and 21. I still keep waiting for the doors to completely fall off, and it's not happening. And talking to people around the league, what they simply say is we play really hard. And that's really a testament to the guys, to the coaching staff, and to the guys. I'm not convinced that we have I don't mean this critically to our guys, but I'm not sure we have a top 30 player in the NBA. Al's probably, somewhere around there, but you know me, I'm not in love with his numbers. I like efficient scores. He's not always that guy. When the 8 teams are remaining in the playoffs this year, when the final 8 teams stand, so in the East, that's likely going to be Chicago, Miami, maybe Orlando if they don't make a deal, Boston or Indiana. In the West, it's Oklahoma City. I don't know. Dallas, San Antonio, Lakers. Lakers are kind of an interesting one. I don't think it's Clippers. I mean, they're not playing. But anyway, those final 8 teams are left. You go look at our roster right now. How many guys start? I mean, the answer really might be 0 on most of those teams. And yet we're 19 and 21. It's an awesome tribute to what Tyrone and what the coaching staff and the players. Don't discount how hard these guys have played every day in a season. And I know some of you are sitting there grumbling, what about New Orleans? Dude, look around the season and look around the league this year at what is happening to teams. And it's going to happen to us. We have to have 2 or 3 dogs left in us the way the schedule is. And we just got to make sure we have them at the right time. Hopefully tonight's not one of them because you got to get tonight. I mean, look at it. If you really believe you're in a playoff push, if the Jazz get the remaining home games are Detroit, Minnesota, Golden State, Oklahoma City, let's put that in the loss column, Denver, Sacramento, Phoenix, Golden State, San Antonio, let's just hope we get lucky that they don't play for a night, Dallas at home, Orlando, Phoenix, Portland. So I think if I got my math right, that's 13 remaining home games. If the Jazz can go 11-2 or something crazy the rest of the way on the road, which is going to be hard because we're just popping in and out, there's 30 wins. Incredible. I don't know if we can do that, but well, you get 30. Now you got to go find 3 or 4 on the road. At Sac, at New Jersey, at New Orleans, and steal and frankly this Wednesday at Phoenix. Find a way to get this one at Phoenix and knock them out. Suddenly you're in it. It's crazy. Where are we as a team? I thought the road trip was what you could expect. If you go back big picture, we came out of the season trying to be this defensive team. The only concern I have right now is we really become terrible defensively. But part of what's happened is when we play elite level defensive teams, we can't score. And Tyrone has had to coach the team a little differently than he anticipated. I think he thought this team would just be able to score no matter what. That has not happened. And so when we play elite level defensive teams, we're really having a hard time scoring. We don't have an elite level defensive team on the books here for a while. And so that should be good. The interesting one, it's hard to tell, by the way, on when I say elite level defensive teams. All the elite level defensive teams in the NBA right now are Eastern Conference teams. And part of that is that the Eastern Conference is so horrendous. But they're Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston, Miami, Atlanta are the 5 best defensive teams. The best Western Conference defensive teams are Dallas, Memphis, and the Lakers. So we have the Lakers on Saturday. And then Oklahoma City and Portland. So we've got, that stretch there where I think this is the stretch to stay in the season. And then we've got to somehow sneak 1 or 2 in that next stretch to prevent ourselves from just, then after getting in, getting knocked out. Interesting one going on with the team right now also is that Millsap and Jefferson, the combination that a lot of us have criticized playing together, it's actually working right now. Since the All-Star break, Jazz are about plus 34 with Jefferson on the floor, plus 24 with Millsap on the floor. Contrasting that, Enes Kanter is hitting the skids right now. I don't know all the reasons why. I think he's tired. He's never played this many games. Would be some of my guesses. Kanter is minus 29 in his last 91 minutes of play. And what's happening a little bit is Favors is spending so much time on the floor with him that he's getting taken out of games, though Favors is playing quite well, shooting about 60% since the All-Star break. So we got to Ty's got to figure that out. Now, here's the trick. The easy answer, and the same answer that I would probably give, that you would probably give, is, well, let's sit Kanter for a while and play a 3-man big rotation and roll. Can't do that with 5 games in 7 days. Those 12 or 13 minutes Kanter's giving you every night are really pretty important. And that might go as well on CJ. I'm Tyrone's rope he's giving CJ is much longer than I would. It might be becoming a staple of his coaching style that he gives players an opportunity. And in the long run, that's probably a lot better than the alternative. But again, depending what happens with Raja, you suddenly go to Gordon, Josh, and Burks, 3-guard rotation. You can't do it. And I think some of what's going on the CJ front is just Tyrone's understanding of the schedule. I've got to have all these guys at some point in time, and I go bury him right now, and he's done. And I turn around a week later, I'm gonna have to ask him to, step up. And it's easy for someone to answer that, but he's a professional. He should. Okay, he's also human. So anyway, that's where we stand. A lot of great stuff. What a huge week, and then the tourney. Um, in regards to BYU, I'm very excited for Dave Rose and the staff that they got in. Uh, it looks like an interesting matchup with Iona. I've never seen Iona play in my life. I don't actually know where they're from. The only thing, just reading Greg Wrubell's tweets about Iona, my feeling on BYU this year is that they really were not very good defensively. And particularly when they played a half-decent team, I thought they were pretty terrible defensively in the few games I watched. I only watched when they played a decent team. So that'll be interesting to see how that impacts the game, because I think when you're not very good defensively, you're pretty susceptible to an upset. Both those teams can score. This is not a statement about BYU, but I will leave this as my takeaway statement of the week, or to open the week. And it relates to BYU, but it also relates to Washington and Cal and Iona. And boy, college basketball's not great. There's probably a bunch of reasons why. And the interesting one to that is that everyone's trying to degrade everybody else's resume in the hours prior to Selection Sunday, when the truth of the matter is, if you had just won a few games you needed to win, you wouldn't have to degrade anyone's resume. And frankly, almost no teams in college basketball this year seem to win those games they needed to win. I mean, BYU getting run at home against St. Mary's and getting run in the tournament by Gonzaga really eliminates your ability to suddenly start comparing your resume. All you had to do is win one of those, and you're not comparing anything. And the same goes, I'm just using that as a local example, and the same goes for all of these other teams I was reading about who saying, whoa, we've got this. No, what you actually have is you don't have any of those things. You couldn't get the wins you needed to. But now you're in the tournament, so let's go. Let's see what happens. And then one final thought for you is a huge advantage in my mind. If BYU wins this game, I think they have a huge advantage going into Thursday. Everyone's talking about what a disadvantage they have because they'll travel and prep time. Totally disagree. I thought we saw that last year with VCU, that the team that has already played a tournament game and got over those tournament jitters, particularly in the scene that's going to happen in Dayton, I think has a huge advantage in the opening 10 to 15 minutes of the tournament game on that Thursday. All right, see ya.